was really trying to pass it, but my hand wasn't used to doing it, and so the ball was like going toward the rim. It was like, I'm not supposed to go over there.
Welcome to What's on My Mind podcast with Eddie Johnson.
Welcome to podcast number 2. And I'm so happy and excited you enjoyed podcast number 1. And your response has been tremendous. Without you taking the time to download me every week, I wouldn't exist. And I want to give to you everything I can to keep you coming back. Now, it is a number of ways that you can hear the audio and video versions. For audio, you can go to iTunes.com or you can go to SoundCloud. And I encourage you to leave your reviews and leave your comments because it's so helpful for us every week to bring the product that you desire. And for the video portion, you can go to YouTube and check us out, or you can go to my fan page at facebook.com/What's on EJ's Mind, or you can visit my website, EddieJohnson8.com. And I promise you, we're going to build this podcast every week to keep you coming back. I so much enjoyed my conversation last week with Muggsy Bogues. If you haven't seen podcast 1, I encourage you after watching podcast 2 to go check it out. He was a riot. And then my roundtable discussion with Paul Coro, beat writer for the Phoenix Suns, and 16-year veteran Derek Harper, who is now the color analyst for the Dallas Mavericks. We had a tremendous conversation as well in my Big Dummy segment. So as we move on to week 2, I have something else in store for you. It's going to be tremendous. I'm enjoying this opportunity to bring what I think you want to hear in a podcast. And I promise you, it's going to get better every week. But first, I always have to thank my sponsor because without him, this podcast would not be available. And I just want to thank Jason Mitchell Realty Group. If you are in the market to buy or sell your home, then I recommend Jason and his team at Realty Executives. From just about every accolade you can receive on a local and national level, their technology and resources are simply the best in the business. So please take the time and give Jason and his team a call today at 480-522-1030. That's 480-522-1030. Or visit them at mitchellgroupaz.com. Now, last week was really a riot. And I was so excited last week, and I hope I didn't show it on the podcast, but I want you to know this is something I always wanted to do. And that's a direct communication to not only my fans that follow me on Twitter at JumpShot8, but also the thousands of people that come to Phoenix Suns games and watch me critique my favorite team, the Phoenix Suns, or nationally on League Pass when you tune in and you hear Steve Albert and I kind of banter back and forth with each other and have a good time as we telecast one of the most young, exciting teams in the NBA. And then my Sirius XM NBA radio followers who love the NBA Today show with Justin Termini and yours truly. I just truly love to connect. And I just want to bring you sports from just a different light every week to just get it going. And it's not all about what I used to do. Yeah, I was a basketball player, but I'm going to tell you what, I am so excited right now because my Chicago Cubs, they're still in the news. How many years has it taken for the Cubs to be in the news in the month of November? But boy, did they clean up this last week. Not only did Joe Madden get Manager of the Year, but Chris Bryant got Rookie of the Year, and Jake Arrieta got the Cy Young. Go Cubs. I'm looking forward to a tremendous 2016. Now, on to the segment that got a lot of attention last week because it's edgy. And as I told you last week in podcast number 1, I always referred to myself as you big dummy. That kept me focused. And I encourage you to purchase my book at eddiejohnson8.com. It is for everyone, not just athletes. It's for anyone that has an opportunity to want to better themselves and stay on the right track. So I encourage you to visit my website to purchase my book, or you can go to Amazon. But get it and show it to your youngsters and show it to your coworkers, because I think it will enhance what you're trying to accomplish in life and to stay on that road. And I have an interesting big dummy segment this week. And it involves an organization that somehow, some way has decided to tank. And boy, have they tanked. And so, I want to welcome you to the zone where only big dummies reside. See you in a second, you big dummy.
It's time for the segment that makes us shake our heads. You big dummy.
Welcome to my big dummy segment. Not these two guys. I'm talking about the Philadelphia 76ers. But first, I want to just welcome in Amin Elhassan. You've seen him everywhere. ESPN, NBA analyst, True Hoops. It's nothing that he does not do. And Lasalle Thompson, what, 18-year veteran tank or 17 years? 15. See, I tried to give you 2 more years. I'm sorry. 15-year NBA veteran, played on numerous teams, was a teammate of mine when I first came in the league with Kansas City and then Sacramento. Gentlemen, welcome.
Man, you broke me in the league.
Well, I'll give you whatever you want. I owe you 2 more years then, okay? How much were you making?
My
okay, all right, well, I'll pay you.
How about I make $175,000. How about that?
All right. Well, gentlemen, look, my big dummy of the week is the Philadelphia 76ers. And I just want to run through a synopsis because this is amazing to me even when I read through it. Now, in 2011, during the lockout season, the Philadelphia 76ers got off to a 20-9 start. Now, they struggled near the end, finished with 15-22 towards the end, but they got in the playoffs as an 8th seed. They upset the Chicago Bulls, who were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and then they took a talented Celtics team to the 7th game, losing 4-3. And then the following year, trying to rebuild their team, they go and they get Andrew Bynum, which I thought and everyone thought was a good move, but injuries cost them. And then along that season, everyone else got injured. True Holiday, Jason Richardson, Thaddeus Young, Nick Young, and they finished 34-48. Doug Collins decides to resign. Sam Hinkie takes over as GM. And boy, has he made an impact, right? 2013-14, he trades True Holiday. All right, he separated himself from Andrew Bynum. He waived everyone. And then he followed it up by drafting a guy, Nerlens Noel, who had an ACL injury and did not play his last year in college. But he did find gold. He drafted Michael Carter-Williams, and he eventually became Rookie of the Year. Although that year they had a 26-game losing streak. And I think Sam Hinkie finally just said, you know what, enough is enough, and I'm just going to go backwards. And so the following year, he drafts Joel Embiid, number 1 pick, and he came in injured. He has not played a game. They got off to an 0-18 start. He littered the roster with D-League players. He traded the Rookie of the Year, Michael Carter-Williams. And we felt, okay, that's over. Philadelphia fans, they're going to start to understand that this guy's going to go forward. And lo and behold, what he does, he drafts another center. Now, granted, Jahlil Okafor probably was the best guy on the board. But again, 3 centers, 3 straight years. This season right now, 4 first-round picks on his roster, 3 second-round picks. And I'm just trying to figure out here. And I hate to beat up on Philadelphia. And Amin, I know you do too. You don't want to beat up on them anymore. They've been knocked out enough. But please tell me, 3 centers in 3 years, okay? Seriously, what is Sam Hinkie doing? Is he building a team?
See, that's that's what's happening. He's not building a team. He's trying to get assets. So if you look at every transaction they do as just one thing, say, okay, who's on the board? Jahlil Okafor, we'll take him. Say, okay, Michael Carter-Williams trade. What are we getting for him? The Lakers pick that's only top 3 protected. That could be good. Every single one of these transactions, if you look at it by itself, oh, that's pretty good. But when you take a step back and you look at the picture, because it's got to make an overall picture. There's no picture. It's random noise. And so that's why the team never progresses. And when you look at the rebuilding job they're doing versus, say, a team like Orlando, a team like Minnesota, not saying that these teams are contenders right now, but you see the progression because every move has an idea of the move we did before it and the move we're trying to do next. And we're trying to build something and build a culture. And in Philadelphia, they don't have any of that.
But hasn't someone told him that in this analytic stage that point guards dominate this league now and skill players and not centers?
You know, but it comes back to who's the best guy on the board at the time. Are you going to take an okay point guard or a big man who has a high upside? Again, if we're just talking about that one little conversation, should I take this guy, oh yeah, okay, Jahlil Okafor makes sense. But when you take a look back and say, wait, hold on, we already have 2 centers on the roster, why am I going to take a third? Knowing that I can't play all 3 together, or in this case, because Embiid is always hurt, I can't play the 2 together. So they're never going to look good enough for me to say I can trade you and keep you.
Right.
So it's almost, like I said, it doesn't have any kind of rhyme or reason to it. And because of that, I think they're just going to be hoping that one of these picks is going to turn into like a LeBron type player or something like that.
Yeah. Now, Lasalle, look, you and I played on teams that just flat out stunk, okay? We know what stinking is playing in the NBA. I mean, in Kansas City, I mean, we got along, we loved each other, but we stunk. I mean, 28 wins, 22 wins. But you as a player, I mean, we were hungry though, right? It bothered us. I mean, we had a problem with it. So I want to place you in that Philadelphia locker room as a rookie and then as a veteran. I mean, what are these guys thinking about? What are they going through in seeing this and knowing every night that they go out, they're not only the laughingstock of the league, but they have no chance to win?
Well, in defense of our bad team, we were actually trying to win. We just didn't have a lot of talent. So, that was our problem. But with Philly, when you look at their draft, what they've done, I think they've always just drafted the best player available. Now, the first kid they drafted, who had the ACL tear, he really is a power forward. He's not a center, really. He played center in college, but he's a power forward. And then I think they knew Joel Embiid was still hurt when they drafted Okafor.
But give me your mindset. I want to know. Hold it. You're Nerlens Noel. I want to know. I mean, what are they going through, man?
Okay.
I mean,
they got to be going through hell because you got to think about this. All those kids came from winning programs. Okafor played for the national championship a year ago, not even a year ago. And so I'm sure they probably shell shocked right now. Everybody on that team probably came from a decent college program. And I think they purposely aren't bringing in veteran players because I think they just want to take their lump and build up draft picks. I think if somebody called them and want to take one of their players, anybody on their team, they're willing to make a deal.
You're a free agent. I mean, would you even think about going there? And if you're there, are you trying to leave?
Look at what. All right, I'm gonna answer both of those. The free agents they have are guys that nobody else wanted. They want to play in the NBA. They got to go to Philadelphia, so they took that job. Now, as a free agent, like if I'm a legitimate, outstanding NBA player, no, I'm not going there. I want to, most guys, especially when they get a little age on them, they get a few years in the league, they want to win. And unless you're just going to grossly overpay them, they're not going to go into a losing situation. So that happens.
Yeah, I mean, from a fan's perspective, I mean, look, all of us know how passionate Philadelphia fans are. They booed Santa Claus, okay? So, I mean, come on, man. From a patient standpoint, how much longer can they put up with this way of building a basketball team? We talk about a storied franchise, a storied franchise.
They are patient.
No, I'm amazed that it's taken this long, to be honest. It seems like they're bought in because I'll give them credit for this. They have one hell of a PR campaign for like this whole thing. They didn't just do it and just kind of hope no one notices. They packaged it and they sold it to their fan base, and their fan base, a lot of them seem to be eating it up. But the other night, again, we heard the Boo Birds come out. We heard people talking about yelling at Okafor, "I'm sorry, I feel bad for you," and things like that. So I think it's starting to turn because, again, fans this is the nature of the business. Either you're selling them a championship or you're selling them hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so at some point, you have to have a payoff on hope. It doesn't have to be a championship or even a 50-win season, but it just has to be like, oh yeah, now it looks like something's coming together. Like I said, if you look at Minnesota, the way Wiggins is playing in year 2, the way Karl Anthony Towns is coming out, and the fact that these two guys, you can say, oh, those two guys are going to be the future of my franchise. You go down to Orlando, you can look at Oladipo and Elfrid Payton and say, those two guys are going to be the future of my franchise. They're going to play a part in that. Right. Denver, you look at Emmanuel Mudiay and Nurkic and Gary Harrison. Okay, those guys are the future of our franchise. I tell you, Philly, who's the future of franchise?
Yes.
We could say Okafor. We might, unless they draft a center next year.
Right, which they might.
If they got a good offer for him, they probably would trade him.
Yep.
No, you got to look at that. I think anybody on the team is up for trade. And then the one thing I'll say about having all those young guys, they're going to come out and play hard every night. They might not be productive, and they still going to lose, but at least they're going to come out and play hard. Now, you get a bunch of veterans on the team like that, man, those guys ain't going to play hard for you.
No, that's why he got rid of the veterans. I mean, it was pretty obvious he's trying to protect the young guys. But again, like I said, okay, so
I don't think it's protection though.
Huh?
I don't think it's protection.
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite. You get a bunch of young guys. They might play hard,
yeah,
but if you play in the wrong way,
yeah,
that doesn't help. You
now they have a good coach though. Would you agree?
They do. And I feel bad for Brett Brown. I think whenever he leaves Philly, I'm interested to see him continue his career somewhere where they actually give him players.
He might win a game and start doing a dance during the course of the game.
But like I keep going back to Minnesota. I look at Karl Anthony Towns when he's out of the game. He sits down next to KG. KG's there teaching. Yeah, he's telling them things that most guys have to learn through 2-3 years of experience. Oh, he always comes over that left shoulder. Oh, watch out for the chicken wing on the drop step. He's learning that stuff now. Those kids don't have nobody in Philly is teaching them that stuff. They're going out there and getting burnt every single time by the same stuff and trying to figure out like.
Well, they brought Allen Iverson back.
But you know what? If I was working with the team, I thought they brought him back for PR.
I know. I'm just being. Well, hey, you know what? A number of years ago, even when I was a free agent, and you all remember this in Cleveland, Ted Stepien, right? Yeah. And Ted Stepien would just lost his mind for a stretch because he was signing everyone. He was giving everyone a free agent deal. I think I got a contract from him, by the way, so I like him a little bit. But, I mean, he was paying a ton of money. And the league finally stepped in and said, you know what, enough's enough. Okay, we're going to take control here, and we're going to do it this way instead of that way. Now, the league has shown that ability to do it in the Chris Paul situation with the Lakers. So, can you see the league eventually stepping in if Hinkie continues to go down this road? Both of you all, either one.
All right, let me jump in. In the Chris Paul situation, remember at that time, the league was running.
Of course, I know.
And I think they stopped the trade not because for any reason other than they didn't want people saying that while the NBA was running the team, they were helping stock the Lakers, which is what people said at first. Then when he ended up going to the Clippers, and they ended up having a good team, the league stepped out of it. But they kind of did the same deal. There was no backlash for them shipping him to the Clippers as opposed to shipping him to the Lakers.
But they took over the Pelicans. Remember that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They took over.
The league was running that team.
Yes. So that's my question. Can you see them stepping in on Philadelphia if he continues to go down this road?
I'm telling you, I'm going to let Amin say something, but I think there's a reason for why they're losing like this. Go ahead, Amin. What do you think?
Now, I'll tell you, for the league to first of all, the league stepped in because the ownership in New Orleans, they didn't
Right.
They didn't have any money. They were broke, so they're trying to sell the team. They couldn't find a buyer, so the league said, "We'll take over and sell it for you until to keep the lights on, pretty much, because otherwise they were just going to shut down, and that would have been a black eye."
Right.
And if you're doing that, why would you trade Chris Paul? If you're trying to sell this asset, then and that's what people question them about. Why would you trade Chris Paul if y'all trying to sell a team?
Well, they did it because they ended up tanking and getting Anthony Davis.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the plan. And so what Philadelphia is doing, I don't think it's new. They're just doing it to a level that nobody's taken this far, right? Usually you tank for that 1 year, you get that big guy, and then you start building from there.
Yeah, this is 3 years tanking.
Yeah, and next year won't be any different, by the way. I mean, you're not going to tell me.
The next 3 years won't. I mean, how can you recover from drafting centers? First of all, young guys can't even throw the ball into the post. Okay, so if you don't have skill guys even on the team with those big guys, they're gonna look bad anyway.
Yeah. And then as far as like beyond that, for the league to change the rules about that, it requires, I think, a 2/3 vote from all the other teams. Now, if you are one of these other franchises and you say, hold up, if you're telling me there's a team where I get 2 to 4 guaranteed wins a year against,
thank you.
and when I'm in salary cap trouble and I got big salary, I got to dump, they got all the cap space and they're willing to take it. You tell me there's one team like that? Why not let them do that to the end of the time? That's one less team. That helps everybody, to be honest.
But it's Philadelphia, man. Come on. You got Charles Barkley. I mean, Dr. J. I mean, that's a storied franchise.
That's a long. That's right. Doesn't Dr. J work for him too?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, does he? He needs to show up more often.
but you know what it is, where this ends, EJ? I've seen this so many times. Everybody's all in on the plan, and the owner, and the management could be all in on the plan, and everything's cool. But one of these days, that owner's gonna walk into a restaurant, and somebody's gonna say something to him, or worse, I'll tell you what the main one is: when their kids go to school and get picked on, like, your daddy ruined our team. That's when logic and all that stuff goes out the window and say, hey, y'all better start getting some wins right now, because I'm not going to have my kids getting picked on every day at school because we're terrible. And at that point, this is what I always say, Sam Hinkie's going to get fired. Someone's going to come in and they're going to build a winner, ironically, based on a lot of the things Sam Hinkie brought him, like all these picks. But the difference is they're going to take that stuff and actually use them and not just keep stockpiling and putting them in a safe somewhere.
They haven't won a game this year so far. And I want to get you all thought, because no one's never gone 0-82, but
that's not gonna happen.
Well, you know what? Look, I know it's not gonna happen, but it's gonna be close.
They're gonna catch somebody slipping on a back-to-back.
Okay. Well, the record is 9 wins. Am I correct?
9, yeah.
Do you all think, based on this team, what you've seen, that they're gonna get 9 victories this year?
I think they'll win 10 games.
That's tough, man. That's because part of me says that, like Tanny just said, there are going to be teams that come in on back-to-back. There are going to be teams that are going to say, oh, we got Philly tonight, and they just don't care. They
like Cleveland. Cleveland a couple of weeks ago.
Twice. Happened to them twice.
Yes.
Twice they didn't take them serious. So.
Yes. We were in New York. We were playing, and this was that year when they were doing that stretch of 20-some games. We were up 20-some points with 5 minutes left. Mike Woodson cleared the bench, put all the bench players in. Man, these cats almost beat us. We had a 2-point.
Oh, they play hard.
About 10 seconds left, and they missed the shot. But that was still when they had Thaddeus and those guys. They hadn't completely given up then. But I want to throw this in there too. I've also heard that what they're trying to do is next year, when the TV money goes up, the value of all these franchises will go up. Because each one of these franchises is going to get like $700, $800 million out of that TV deal. I've heard that what they're doing is stockpiling all these draft picks to increase the value of the team. As soon as that TV money goes up next year, they're going to sell the team, because they said the value of that team will be like $700 million, and they're going to turn around and sell it.
It'd be more than that.
I
think.
There you go. If that's what you're doing, that's a smart idea, because now you can sell it, and whoever comes in, you got all these draft picks. You got all of these young guys.
You
now
can build it.
Building the winner.
Yeah,
You can build it anyway. It's like a starter house. You come in.
that's it.
You could say.
Well, if that, okay. Well, I can end it with this then. If that's the case, then I guess we're the big dummies. Then we didn't figure it out to the end.
Hey, that's just a guess. I'm just speculating. They may not even be doing that. They might.
But still, Tank, own up.
They got some kind of end game.
Own up, big fella. We like it. Own up. I hope that's the reason. Because for me,
that looks like the most plausible reason to me.
Well, for me, I mean, and I want to thank you both for coming in, but for me, they're still big dummies. I mean, we love NBA basketball, and I'm hoping they get it together, but they're big dummies. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm going to give them 10 wins this year. That's it. You guys say maybe what? I say 10.
I give them 10.
You know what? I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna say they get 15.
15.
They got 15.
I don't think 15 is gonna happen.
15 too high.
Cause look,
give me your number, Tank. Just give me your number.
My number is 10, and I'm gonna tell you how I came up with 10. They're only gonna beat a team one time, because if you beat them once, then they're gonna come out with vengeance after that. And they're never gonna win more. They're never gonna win like 2 in a row, because if they win a game, then teams are gonna be like, hey, these cats won a game. Don't let them beat us. So they're gonna win a game, lose about 10 in a row, win a game, lose about 8 in a row. So I think they're gonna get about 10 wins.
Okay. All right. You give them 10. Amin gives them 15. I give them 9. And we'll find out. We'll revisit this later. Thanks again, guys, for joining me for my Big Dummy segment. Take care.
All right, Eddie.
Here's hoping the Philadelphia 76ers finally get their act together pretty soon. Now, as we move on, we approach that segment that I believe will bring you back to me on a consistent basis. Because, like me, I love to reconnect. I love to reach back in the past and catch up with an athlete that made an impact. And we'd like to know what they're up to. And my conversations with them are exactly that, conversations. They're not interviews. It's almost as if I was on the phone and you were privy to hearing the entire conversation. We have a good time. And if you missed my conversation last week with Muggsy Bogues in podcast number 1, I expect you to go back and check it out. Unbelievable. Well, our next guest is a 14-year NBA veteran, had a tremendous career. And he was one of those guys that when he walked in the arena, he got the attention of everyone, including the ladies. And now he's a color analyst for Fox Sports. A talented individual that had a tremendous career. And you will enjoy this conversation from back in the day.
Reminiscing about back in the day.
Back in the day, Jim Jackson was known as James Arthur Jackson. I didn't know that. How did you hide that name for so long, man?
Hey, listen, one of my best friends, Sam Cassell, that's all he calls me is Arthur. He don't even call once he heard my mom call me that around my wedding, he never lived it down. I was ashamed of my name when I was younger, but as I got older, Eddie, I realized it's more distinguished. Think about it. James Arthur Jackson. That's real distinct.
It sounds military.
Well, it sounds like a king or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now you went to Macomber Whitney High School in Toledo, right? Now, are you the most famous athlete to ever come out of that high school?
Yeah, it was a guy named, and you played against Calvin Ramsey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Calvin went to the same high school as I did. So probably between the two of us, I would say yes. Now, being that I'm going to be a little greedy and selfish, I'm going to say I am, but, that's up to debate. But, yeah, Calvin came out a little bit before me, early 70s.
And both of you all attended Ohio State University, that other school in the Big Ten, because Illinois is the top school.
But Illinois needs some help right now, bro. I mean, I've been covering them the last 8 years. They need now. My man Gross is over there. Hopefully, he changed it around. But what about the football program? Come on.
Well, they're getting better.
Yeah, well, compared to what?
Well, just getting better. Hey, they can't get any worse.
But it always amazes me, Eddie. You know this. All the talent, football and basketball, by not being able to lock them in there at Illinois.
Right.
I mean, it always amazed me. What's your take on
That's
that?
true. I mean, recruiting in the inner city of Chicago seems to be a deterrent for Illinois.
But it's not like you got to get them every year, but you need to pluck one or two of them every couple of years to I would think it's like in Ohio, you get all the guys that want to stay and play.
Mm-hmm.
So that just the younger guys see that and say, well, Jared Sullinger stayed, so I'm gonna stay. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. From the city, they just don't get them.
It stopped. It stopped with me. I came there because of Levi Cobb years ago, a guy named Audie Matthews. And then I came, and then pretty much it kind of stopped after like Ephraim Winters, a few other guys came. Kenny Battle
Anderson,
came. Yeah, but it's kind of it's kind of gone down since then. I'm hoping it gets back there because
me too.
because I know you're pumping your chest right now because you got the best football team in the land.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You got a quarterback problem, man. I think something's going to happen.
JT Barrett is a starting quarterback. That's going into this week. What's the problem?
Okay, all right. You just got a coach that doesn't know how to make up his mind right now.
He's trying to figure it out. That's the beauty about the regular season. He's trying to figure it out. Remember, they didn't hit their stride until mid to late in part of the season last year. So I'm a little worried though. Michigan State at home and then got to go play at Michigan.
Yeah.
Those two teams worry me. And Michigan, offensively, maybe not as good, but defensively they're good. They're going to be playing at home in a hype crowd. So
they just can't try to punt the ball in the last 5 seconds. That's all.
Just go for it, fourth down.
No. Look, you were drafted number 4 overall, 1992 to the Dallas Mavericks. And you had a tremendous career. Is it 14 years total or more than
14.
that? 14 years total, over 12,690 points, all-around player. That was your MO. But one of the things I think that sticks out for you and any player, right? We didn't get that championship, and 5 times you went to the playoffs. And out of those teams, I tried to select 3 that I thought that you would probably pick as your best chance. And that was in Portland, Sacramento, and Phoenix. Which one was the best chance for you?
Well, the best chance probably was the Portland team. If you look at the makeup of that team at the time, Eddie, we had basically 2 starting 5s. So you had J.R. Ryder, Rasheed Wallace, Arvydas Sabonis, who was older at the time but could still play, Brian Grant, Calvin Cato, Greg Anthony, Damon Stoudemire, Walt Williams. I mean, Bonzi Wells was a rookie. Jermaine O'Neal was a rookie. Not to mention Stacey Augmon.
Right. Gary
Grant. So from that perspective, and that was during the lockout year, so we only played 51 games. Now, to me, we ended up matching up with San Antonio. And at that time, it was Tim Duncan's second year, I believe.
Right.
That's a series we should have won.
Yeah.
It's no way that San Antonio team should have beat us, but they did. But when I look at the talent base, that team was ultra talented. Now, the Sacramento team, if Chris Webber doesn't get hurt when we're in that Dallas series, I think we make it to the finals against San Antonio that year.
Right. And it's amazing how you can remember something. You know, you play all that time, you're out of the league, wow. But you know is that it was that one catch where you had that opportunity. For me, it was in Seattle. I mean, we had Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Derek McKee, Ricky Pierce, Michael Cage, Sam Perkins, Dana Barros, and we still couldn't get it done.
And it's amazing, too, when you put that talent, you think about the talent, but in those type of series, it's not always the talent. It's kind of that little intangible stuff. Can you make your free throws? Can you limit the turnovers? You know, plays at the end of the game where you're completing that stuff. And think about it. When Chicago, I always say this to people, when the Bulls were reigning in the early 90s, they weren't the most talented team.
Right.
You know, the Seattle team was more talented. The Portland team with Clyde Drexler and those guys were probably more talented top to bottom. But it was something about those championship teams. They did all the little things that sometimes don't show up in the stat sheet.
You seem to get caught up in like a whirlwind of teams wanting you, and then maybe
want to get rid of me.
And and so 7 times you got traded. Is that correct?
And other times I was a free agent. And you know, Eddie, and this, I battle with that a lot in regards to why. And after a while, I just stopped. I just let it go because it really wasn't anything I do about it. When I was in Sacramento, I figured that was my last stop. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Phoenix was the same way. But I will say this: I got a chance to meet and play with a lot of great people that I never would have met. I lived in some great cities that I never would have lived in. Contacts that I made, I mean, are paying huge dividends for what I do today. So, you know, from a basketball perspective, it probably didn't go the way I anticipated, but what does in life. But post my playing career, I mean, I can't complain.
You can't complain. Now, you said it. You had a lot of teammates. So this is probably a difficult question, but I'm asking anyway. You know, can you identify one teammate you had in your career that you would say was your best teammate?
Best in regards to
just overall, not just
Sam Cassell was in my wedding. We got traded together from Dallas to New Jersey. I was complaining the whole time. He was loving it. He's like, Jimmy, we're going to New York, so forget whatever you're talking about. But I've had Brian, I mean, some great, but Sam is the guy, I mean, that to this day, and me being back here in LA and him with the Clippers, it's just something about Sam and our relationship.
Yeah, I got you. What's your best game ever?
Ironically, I would say the 50-point game against Denver, but I'm gonna tell you, my best game was game 3, game 4, I think it was, in the playoffs against Phoenix when I was in Portland, because that was my first playoff win, and I was a part of it. So I didn't know what that feeling was like. I had some good numbers, but I was, you know, an integral part of it. But I got emotional because for 7 years, I have always wondered what it would be like to be in the playoffs and to finally win. And that game kind of just stood out to me as far as, you know, it wasn't 50 points, 30 points, but it was the emotional impact of finally winning the playoff game.
Man, but tell me about that 50, man, because you in LA, man. Look, I got 45 one time against the Clippers, but I got 43 in the second half.
Oh man, you was on fire.
I was hot.
But you know about it, Eddie. You know what the funny part is? We were in Denver the night before. You know how dry the air is. I couldn't sleep, so I had sinus issues because it was so dry. I had to turn the shower on that night in order to get some humidity in the room. So I didn't get any sleep the night before.
Right.
Go to shoot around, I'm dragging. And for some reason, I was just so relaxed. You know how it is. You just don't think about it. And it just started rolling. And ironically, in the second half against Denver, we basically ran the same set every time down the court, but different variations. And Denver couldn't stop.
But when you hot, you hot.
Yeah, no. I got to the free throw line. It's not like I shot a lot of shots, but I had 17, 18 free throws I made. I made 2 to win the game, too. I will say that.
Right.
But got a lot of easy shots. You know, to score 45, 50 points, you got to get some easy baskets.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of them that night.
Who was the player, Jimmy, that you just always wanted to bust up? You know, it didn't have to be a star, you know. I mean, it's you just, when you played against them, you just wanted to just bust them up. You got somebody. You just couldn't stand him. You couldn't stand, you know, just his demeanor. You just.
It was your boy Kendall Gill. He was known as a defensive stopper. I wanted all of that when he was in Charlotte, but also when he was in Seattle. Who else, man? It was.
Well, just one is
I always wanted to get Michael.
Oh yeah.
Because he talked so much junk.
Exactly.
I did too.
People didn't know he talked so much junk.
Yeah, so he talked so much. I just, you know, I had to get him. I got some good games against him, but he, you know, the line he got me on. We're playing him in Chicago. I had 33. We lost the game. Big Joe Klein was talking to him. Said, "Man, leave my young fellow alone." He said, "Man, that's okay, but tell Jimmy that's why he's wearing my shoes." And I kept wearing them too. He
always had a comeback.
Oh, he always had a comeback.
Yeah, but you out in L.A., man. You shocked me because, you know, you say, Eddie, I'm in L.A., and, you know, now you're in La La Land. And why are you out there in La La Land? Because I know I work with you on Big Ten telecasts, and it got a little tiresome for me going back and forth from living out here in Phoenix. So what are you doing right now in terms of that?
I got a bigger position with Fox. Other than lifestyle change with being back in LA, I lived out here before. I used to train out here in the summertime when I was playing, but a better opportunity to cover more NBA, but to also continue to do some more studio for our Big East coverage, because Fox owns a Big East network, and to do the national Big East game. So it was an opportunity. I think I've been preparing for a bigger platform for probably the last 8 years since I've been at the Big Ten network. So without the Big Ten network, this opportunity never would have come to the forefront.
Right. And you're a businessman as well. I mean, once you retired, you got into business. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing there.
Well, on the real estate development side, it's funny. I started in restaurants in Dallas probably back in '97. We had 8 restaurants in Dallas. We opened up one here in LA with Mark Cuban and Todd Wagner. But I mean, I always thought about what I would do post my, playing career. So I got involved in real estate ventures while I was playing. And I think that helped me that when I retired, I wasn't looking around for, okay, now what am I going to do with my time? I kind of fell into the Big Ten Network. That started in '07, a year after I retired. But again, Eddie, I'm telling you, and you know this and you do it as well as anybody, the contacts I made during the years I was playing opened my eyes to other opportunities. It put me in situations to think about post-basketball career. Coaching was something I never wanted to do. I was always interested in business. So the partners I've been able to make and the things I've been able to do have been a result of, I think, living in 12 different cities and meeting a lot of different people.
Well, see, I'm going to ask you a rapid fire 5 questions. And since you in La La Land, to me, this is the perfect question for you because, you're still in shape, man. I mean, you're walking around L.A.
Hold on, just a second.
A movie career.
Somebody at my door.
Don't let them in. A movie career. A movie career might be in the waiting for you. So if you didn't play basketball and you out in LA, what would you be doing right now?
I'll be on the beach somewhere, lifting weights, something, chilling.
Venice Beach. Venice Beach.
I'll be doing some kind of business, but for me, I'm so laid back, I can fall in whatever category. I can figure it out.
Okay, what was your favorite player? Well, who was your favorite player?
Oh, Dr. J, without a question.
By far. Why you didn't wear his number then?
I wanted to wear his number, but I couldn't. A lot of times 6 wasn't available. I wanted to wear it in junior high and in grade school. But I wore my father's number, which was 22.
Oh, okay. Now, if you could have smacked anyone, don't have to be in the league. If you could just smack him and get away with it, who would it be?
You, because you talk so much on the golf course with your boys, and when I come out there next week, I might have my glove ready to because people don't know, if they don't not around you, how much junk you talk on the golf course, off the golf course, just the looks on your face. You
better come with it. You better come with it.
Yeah.
All right, finally, what is your most prized possession?
A pair of signed Muhammad Ali gloves.
Man, I got me a pair too.
Yeah, I see them. Is that up
there? That's right there.
My all-time favorite athlete. When I got those gloves, that was. From a sports perspective, that was it. I don't hang on to a lot of stuff. I wish I did. I wish I would have collected more memorabilia from the guys I played against, but my ego wouldn't let me. But those gloves from that man, yeah.
Okay, so can I call you James now, since I know?
As long as I can call you Edward.
No, okay, I'll call you Jimmy.
Yeah,
okay. Hey, man, thanks for coming and joining us in Back of the Day.
You got it. I'll see you next week, man. Clubs in tow.
All right.
Here are Eddie's final thoughts.
Final thoughts are centered around the New York City area. Back at the NBA draft, you were despondent. It carried over from not getting the ping pong ball you wanted. The Minnesota Timberwolves got it. And their target immediately was on Karl Anthony Towns Jr. And as the process went along, you knew and figured out you would not get your second choice, and that's Jahlil Okafor. And I heard you bandy about the idea of drafting a point guard in D'Angelo Russell. And there was a young man on the horizon that everyone had been talking about throughout the season that potentially can be a tremendous basketball player. And sometimes things just work out funny because the decision making was taken out of your hands. You weren't forced into having to make a mistake. And you just sat back and a 7'3", skilled basketball player with a tenacious attitude fell right into your lap. Kristaps Porzingis was roundly booed as his name was called at the NBA draft. But unlike a lot of young players and how they might react in that situation, he marched up to the stage and he grabbed his hat and he went to his interview and he loudly proclaimed, "I embrace the opportunity to play in New York City." I was moved by it because it showed me maturity that I had not seen. And early season results is showing us that this young man was true to his word. Kristaps Porzingis, he's not a bust of the past that he was compared to after the draft. He is a potential all-star. And it's only a matter of time before he visits that mid-season classic. I can boldly predict that he might wind up being one of the best players that we have seen play the game. And I know you're saying, wow, Eddie, that is a lot of accolades you're throwing on such a young player. But I only feel that way because of his confidence in himself and his willingness to embrace the pressure of playing in New York City. And I'm looking forward to him proving everyone wrong. And Kristaps Porzingis will become a household name in New York, as he already has. They're chanting his name right now. So here's some advice. Just because you have the number 4 pick does not mean you get the 4th person. Thank you. We are at the end of podcast number 2. Thanks again for joining me. Also want to remind you, you can access the audio version of this podcast at iTunes or SoundCloud. And if video is your choice, please check us out at eddiejohnson8.com or facebook.com/What's on EJ's Mind and YouTube. I want to thank my sponsor, Jason Mitchell Realty Group. If you are in the market to buy or sell your home, please give Jason and his team a call at 480-522-1030 or contact them at mitchellgroupaz.com. My special guests this week, Amin Elhassan, Lasalle, Thompson, and Jim Jackson. Thank you. I appreciate you checking in with me and my listeners. Again, thank you. I appreciate you. Get ready for podcast number 3. It's going to be even better. Have a great week.